Ukrainians are marching in the streets as they're protesting a bill that was passed in the Verkhovna Rada and signed yesterday. And the bill was created to remove the independence of the anti-corruption unit. And the argument was that it was because they were infiltrated by Russians or somehow connected to Russians, and move it under the authority of the president's office indirectly, but still under the executive power. And the question is, what will happen next? So people are protesting, and will Zelensky show himself to be the servant of the people, or will he push back against that? So here's what's happening right now at this hour. So again, before I even go to that, servant of the people was the same kind of premise. The politicians are corrupt, and this teacher, Golda Barocco, he is ranting about this, and he gets elected because he's, it's resonating with him that he's saying these corrupt people, they should be thrown out, and they should be strung up and whatever else. And he gets elected as president of Ukraine. Well, ironically, his name is the name of his politician's party is Servant of the People Party. That's what they named it as he ran for office. Okay, so there are protests against law number 12414, which are spreading across multiple cities in Ukraine. Citizens are voicing strong opposition to legislation, which they see as direct threat to the independence of anti-corruption institutions, NABU and SAPO. Public pressure is building. By the way, protesting when there is a problem is a healthy thing. Okay. Submitted by the Servant of the People Party, which holds a majority in the Verkhovna Rada, the bill was passed on 22 July and signed into law by President Volodymyr Zelensky that same evening, a rare instance of rapid enactment. Okay. Now, there's lots of criticism that came out, and so I'm going to go through some of the criticism and then Zelensky's response. The Economist magazine says law against NABU is a panic move linked to investigations into Zelensky's inner circle. That may be true. The Economist is a pretty strong, credible magazine. The British magazine, The Economist, has published a scathing analysis of a new law that weakens Ukraine's anti-corruption institutions, NABU and SAPO, calling it a blow to post-Maidan reforms and possibly an attempt to shield Zelensky's entourage from ongoing investigations. According to the article, even some within Zelensky's own team were stunned. Wow, that's something. One official compared the bill to the infamous dictatorship laws passed under Yanukovych on January 16, 2014. Another source claimed the president's office acted while the U.S. was distracted and after partially winning over Donald Trump, who had grown disillusioned with Putin. The Economist also reported that the EU tried to pressure Zelensky not to sign the law, but he signed it anyway. So this vote undermining one of Ukraine's core anti-corruption reforms cast a shadow over the country's future. Okay, that's a hard pill to swallow. Again, The Economist is a credible institution, and we'll see more and more criticism. What you're seeing in this video right now is a woman who is part of the Servant of the People Party, and it looks like she is throwing some evidence away. I'm already seeing this is Tartar Igami, which is a fairly credible source, intelligence source that I use for other things. I don't tend to see a lot as much from him on the political side, but on the military side. I'm already seeing disinformation claiming NABU, National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, has done little to nothing, a claim easily debunked by numerous high-profile cases, but visual evidence speaks loudest. Take a look at this case from 2023. A member of the parliament from the Servant of the People Party, that's Zelensky's party, was filmed trying to dispose of bribe money as NABU investigators arrived at her home. Okay, so that's probably not a great look. And so it seems like they're doing their job. And are they being quashed because they're doing their job? Or on the other side, this is the other side of the argument, and I'm just laying things out there for you. And by the way, the people in Ukraine are up in arms. Like they're upset. Whether they're right or wrong, I don't know, but it looks like they're up in arms because they feel like their liberties are being stripped away from them, and nobody wants to see their liberties being stripped away from them. But that's what I'm reading right now. The The law, this is Zelensky's argument, is that the law curbing Ukraine's anti-graft watchdogs is now enforced. It gives the prosecutor general control over the NABU and SAPO. And the reason is because of Russian influence that they say has infiltrated those two organizations. And there could be some evidence that there has been some of that. So, but let's go back to what's going on here. They're at protesters. The protesters are yelling Yermak out. Yermak, I understand, is one who he's the head of the office of the president. He's real chummy with Zelensky. They go way back, apparently. And he's seen as being potentially corrupt. I don't know enough about it to be able to say one way or another, but I've seen multiple places where people would say that Yermak is corrupt. Again, I don't know personally. Okay. Demonstrators took to the streets in several Ukrainian cities on July 22nd after President Volodymyr Zelensky signed a bill tightening restrictions on two critical anti-corruption agencies amid criticism from Kyiv's European allies. Speaking with Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Liberty, one protester said that the bill is very dangerous for Ukraine. That bill is dangerous for Ukraine. Okay, so they're getting some pushback from multiple sources. So let's look at this. Euromaidan Press has an editorial. Since today, a second front has opened in Ukraine between those preserving Ukraine's democratic future and those sacrificing it for personal protection. History is watching. Here is Kira Rudik. She is the head of the Holos Party. I think the latter is the pronunciation. And it means, like, if I remember, voice and vote party. It's a pro-European party. Holos Party did not support the bill that affected independence of anti-corruption infrastructure. Ukraine cannot afford to step away from European integration. I'm not interested in the internal politics within Ukraine. I want to see Ukraine succeed and kick out the Russians so that they can rule themselves. She's right. I mean, I don't know who I might be offending by saying that she's right as the head of this particular party, but she is right about that. Okay. Sternenko is a huge figure, raises lots of money for drones and other things. Ukrainians who took to the streets in protest are the very embodiment of democracy, the quintessence of what sets us apart from Russia and Russians. The uniqueness of this phenomenon lies not only in the fact that it's a large-scale protest during wartime, but in the fact that despite the great war of attrition, we have not lost our sense of self. Stop right there. That's right. Like, I'm awed by the Ukrainians yet again as they're protesting to defend their rights, perceived or real. I don't know exactly what's going on, but they're protesting to defend their rights in the worst possible time, and they're out there in the streets. Russia attacked us precisely for this, for the right to be ourselves, to determine our own path under any circumstance, always. It is this very concern for the fate of our country that has made us who we are, and it has hardened us against Russian aggression. We have learned to trust one another, to help one another, to fight for our future. This has become our strength, our advantage. Russians will never forgive us for this. At the same time, we cannot allow this uncontrolled situation, and if we fall, there will be nothing here, only death and occupation. The authorities must listen to their people and prevent internal confrontation. A nation fighting for freedom deserves to be heard. Okay, all fair. And so there's this balancing act between, yes, you want to protest and preserve your rights, and you also don't want to create this unity that causes Russia to prevail. Okay, there's some exterior folks that are criticizing this, and they're big people and people that should be listened to. Let's start here. EU Commissioner for Enlargement Marta Kos stated that dismantling key safeguards protecting NABU's independence is a serious step back. So yeah, you don't want to be upsetting the EU as they're trying to help you win this war. Keith Kellogg's daughter, Megan Mobbs, who has always supported Ukraine, said that this decision is truly, unbelievably, mind-bogglingly stupid. And she is a hardcore supporter. She's there in Kyiv. Her dad is Keith Kellogg. Like, they're supporting Ukraine. The OECD warned that such actions may damage Ukraine's credibility among international partners, particularly those considering investment in Ukraine's defense sector and long-term reconstruction. Yeah, don't do this, or fix it somehow. Like undo the bill, write something else that modifies it, do something. Germany warns that Ukraine's new anti-corruption law could derail the EU path. Like that's powerful. That's not something that Ukraine wants. Zelensky says it's about removing Russian influence. Critics call it a step back in reforms. Both things might be true at the same time. I mean, there might be something true about the Russian influence while it is still having this devastating impact on anti-corruption prosecution. Limiting the independence, this is the German Foreign Office, limiting the independence of Ukraine's anti-corruption agency hampers Ukraine's way toward the EU. I expect Ukraine to continue with determination in its efforts in combating corruption. And that's a big thing for joining the EU. The EU chief called Ukrainian president demanding explanations for a law that subordinates Ukraine's premier anti-corruption agencies to the prosecutor general. Brussels warned that there could be no compromise on rule of law standards for EU candidate countries. Like, if nothing else, this one here would have gotten Zelensky's attention the most. They really want to join the EU. There's safety in the EU. They really want to join NATO. There's safety there, and they know it. Okay, so signaling a possible concession, President Zelensky announced that he will propose a bill to Parliament in response to recent criticism. While this offers hope to many, there's also skepticism. Understandably, there's skepticism. So here's Zelensky giving his address about this. Today started with the meeting with the government officials and representatives of law enforcement agencies. Of course, everyone has heard what people are saying these days, all aspects of what needs to be changed and what needs to be stepped up. I will propose a bill to the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine that will be the response. Okay, so he's not ignoring it. He's not attacking the people. He's about to try to fix it with another bill that hopefully will be actually a fix, not just a veneer of a fix. A veneer of a fix will be worse than doing nothing. It will ensure that the strength of the rule of law system, that there will be no Russian influence or interference in the activities of law enforcement, and very importantly, all the norms for independence of anti-corruption institutions will be in place. If he does that, the problem will be solved and it'll go away. If he doesn't do that, then it will continue to fester. I expect specific proposals of legal norms that should be made, should make it happen from our group of heads of law enforcement and anti-corruption agencies, from the prosecutor general. This will be a presidential bill, and we will implement it as part of our strategy for the transformation of the state. So he's doing something. He's not ignoring it, and I'm going to suspend judgment until we see what the next bill is, but that's good. I'm glad that the people are protesting if they see that their rights are being stripped away. I'm glad that he's listening to them rather than just reacting. Okay. A couple other comments here and we'll be done. Ukraine's HUR, military intelligence chief Budanov, weighs in on the crisis triggered by Zelensky's dismantling the Ukrainian independent anti-corruption institutions. Quote, "The nation will lose if it is torn apart from within. I'm certain that Ukraine will be saved by a strong military and strong institutions. We must show wisdom and responsibility. All fair." I have unshakable confidence, says Michael McKay. Michael McKay does the maps in the morning. Generally, I show you per cross. He's the guy behind how many attacks and engagements in various places. He says, "I have unshakable confidence in the democratic spirit of the Ukrainian people. This comes from my experiences in Ukraine after the renewal of independence in 1991, during the Orange Revolution in 2004, and during the Revolution of Dignity in 2013 to 2014. Corrupt officials will pay." And then this, anti-corruption agencies such as the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, NABU, and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO, only work if they are independent of political control. Zelensky cannot undo the revolution of dignity of the Ukrainian people. I'm not sure that he was trying to undo that, but I'm not sure what his motivation is, right? I'm not in his heart, but I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, regardless of who they are, until they're proven like so insanely, like a Putin, you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. You've proved it over and over again. I know that he was, okay. All his other actions all the way through have shown that he's trying to defend Ukraine. Now, is he doing something here above and beyond that? That's, just trying to protect his cronies? Could be. Or let alone the appearance that it could be used for that is already in place. So he's got to undo this, and we'll see how that plays out. Meanwhile, RT is making some hay of this. Michael Maloof, former U.S. Defense Secretary analyst. He's not a high-ranking guy. Says Zelensky is on the verge of being overthrown. He's not going to leave, and he's not seeking negotiation. He's always seeking more arms to continue the war, and the people are fed up. I'm pretty sure the people in Ukraine are not fed up with the arms that he's seeking to continue the war. This is just RT putting out their blather. And then we see things like this. The Kyiv Post, Ukraine's defense intelligence warned that Moscow could exploit the ongoing protests over Kyiv's controversial new law to discredit Ukraine and undermine foreign aid, as you just saw on RT. Or with this, Margarita Simonyan's posting this: protest outside Zelensky's office right now in Kyiv. The problem with party drug addicts is that sooner or later they take one step too far. Okay, that's the narrative that she wants to put out there. I don't know that there's any evidence of that, but okay. But this is the protest outside Zelensky's office. And good on the people of Ukraine for caring about their rights and being vigilant about them. All right. I'll leave you with this with Darth Putin. Maybe you'll understand Ukrainian cynicism at a lack of Russian protests against the president when you see them protesting against corruption instead of hiding from my ballistic missiles. Look, they were out there protesting and knowing that where they are, they could be getting hit by Shaheds and missiles. Like, that's hardcore. Like, good on the people of Ukraine. All right. Thank you for your time. Tell me what you thought about this. Help me see whatever I can't see. Put that in the comments below. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.